Welcome to 4D Chess. I'm your host, Patrick Hoblin. Today on the show, Uniparty Senate saboteurs Mike Johnson and John Thune are plotting a summer work period recess. That's a ploy to strand Trump's nominees out to dry, to leave them out. It's also going to fuel a judicial coup echo from Schumer's pre-judge Trump stacking frenzy. The power game is at its dirtiest right now, and we will point it out today. We'll dive into the Senate tactics. Markwayne Mullin called people's bluff. We'll see what cards flipped over. We're also looking at Trump flexing against the judicial branch with his own attorney, his own U.S. attorney, Alina Habba. We'll break that down. And in the best news of the week, Trump visited the Fed yesterday, put on the hard hat, and absolutely embarrassed Jerome Powell. We will break it down. Also, there is an object hurling towards Earth. They think it's an alien ship. All today on 4D Chess. Let's play. Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Patrick Hobble. This is 4D Chess. Thanks for playing tonight. Tonight, it is Friday night. Wow, I'm a loser. It is Friday night. We're talking politics. I don't care. I got the house to myself, man. The other half is out dog sitting. It's great. We got kids. They actually were going to come over. They didn't come over. Nothing but politics tonight for me. And so we're going to do a little episode. I did see, and I do mean it when I say there is a alien spaceship hurling towards Earth. At least that's what they say. We'll end with that story, so stay tuned for that. But yes, it is high treason, and it is not Obama, people. It is not Obama. It is our own. It is our own John Thune and Mike Johnson. But before we get going, that is us. Give us a follow on X, 4D_wizard. That's me, the political chess wizard. Always learning, always telling you tactics. Give us a follow there. We are also live streaming on X. Hello, as you can see. Thank you for joining tonight. The non-partiers, the non-Friday night partiers. Also, we are live streaming on YouTube and Rumble. Hello to you people as well. But the main story today, and I just can't go without saying this, it is something nobody is talking about. We talked about the Senate and how bad they are, how it is designed to be bad, how we should. I'm telling you, if you don't hate the Senate by now, go back and listen to the last episode. This one's going to make you even more mad because they're doing it. Not only did I call out their bullshit before they did it, but they did it. I was hoping they wouldn't, but they did. And there is no other explanation than treason. I mean, yeah, is that a little harsh maybe? No, it is not harsh. It is how GOP leaders Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune are pushing the Senate, and they've already announced it, towards a summer state work period. They're not going to take vacation. Now, don't fall for the bullshit. We're going to stay in D.C. and we're going to work and try to get these things done. That's what they're going to say. But understand it is called a pro forma session. And they just show up every 3 days, act like they're working, they slam the gavel, and they're not working. They're not going to get it done. This is called a pro forma session. Welcome to the Senate, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Senate. That stated work period is going to start from August 4th, and it's going to go to September 1st. It's like 28 days. They just delayed it another month. There is already, and there will be more, a backlog of judges, a backlog of attorneys, and many more appointees. Excuse me. Picked by Donald Trump, waiting to be confirmed. Somebody tell me why Thune and Johnson would do this. This is not to what they're going to say. It's so they can work. We're going to stay here in D.C. We're going to stay in the Senate. We're giving up our vacations for you. Bullshit. That's not what they're doing. That is not what they're doing. That's what they're going to say they're doing. This creates two very large problems. For one, we're still in a judicial coup. Chuck Schumer decided to confirm. He was the former John Thune, but they confirmed a bunch of judges right before Trump left office to slow him down. And now the Senate is going to, they could go on vacation. So we can't even get our own judges in there. Thanks to these tools, treasonous tool bags. I'll show you the thing right here. Boom, here it is.
Are in real time living through an assault on the constitutional order. Do you believe that we are in a constitutional crisis right now?
Yes, our democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many, many different ways. The good news here is we did put...
Why do I have... Well, welcome to the show. Once again, you can donate to my Patreon account.
We are in real time living through an assault on the constitutional order. Do you believe...
Maybe this is better.
We are in real time living through an assault on the constitutional order. Do you believe that we are in a constitutional crisis right now?
Yes, our democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many, many different ways. The good news here is we did put 235 judges.
There you go. That's all I wanted you to hear. 235 judges. 235 judges. He put it in before they left. Biden, Schumer, all of them put it in before we left. This is a problem. They're trying to slow Trump down. And now John Thune and Mike Johnson slowed us down even more. This is confirmed. The House, God, they're lame. The House and all those politicians, they've already adjourned for the summer. They're on break. Early recess, early summer vacation. Now, the Democrats were bitching about it because they thought it was to avoid the Epstein vote. It's really not that. It's not that at all. Because the Democrats are saying they want the Epstein stuff released, and there is all that stuff going on with Ghislaine Maxwell and all the stuff, and we'll get to that eventually. But Thune is considering shortening or skipping the Senate recess, but keeping options open for nominees. And Trump's second-term nominations are progressing so slowly, right? You just add another 3 to 4 months on this thing. The Senate confirmed his first judge recently, but they're facing delays on the other. It's the recess is a GOP intra-party power play to negotiate leverage with Trump. They are playing politics. John Thune has aspirations, everybody. Mike Johnson has aspirations. They want certain things done. They owe people favors. Right? They owe people favors. And because they owe people favors, they're going to say no. Now they might in the next day or two. They have like a couple other days. They've already announced they're going to go on this pro forma, but they can always work a week and then dismiss. This is so that they can play politics. It is so lame because it's not what the voters want. Everybody always talks about the elites. The Senate is the elites. The Senate is the elites, people. They act like they're for you. This goes for all of them. Their job is to convince you that they are for you. They are not for you. They are always, and they play it better than anybody. Hence, there's only 2 of them in the states, each state, and they're right there. Senators can run for president. My voice. Senators can run for president, right? Senators make big plays in politics. And right now, John Thune and Mike Johnson are saying, nope, no recesses. So this is what's going to happen. Trump is going to go to them, or other people are going to go to them, and they are going to make a deal. How do we get you into recess? How do we get you to do the recess so we can get these things in there? Mainly Trump. Trump is probably going to give them some cash or some other thing down the road. Maybe promise a future position. This is what they're doing. There's no question in my mind. This is what they're doing. Most people, and they're banking on you not knowing. They're banking on you not knowing. They think they're just going to blame everybody else. They're just going to point. They're going to be like, oh, the House. Oh, this senator. Oh, this senator. Oh, this senator. They're going to be like, oh, it's not, they're the Democrats, the Republicans. Oh, da. No, it's John Thune and Mike Johnson. We could get it all done right now. Option 1, go to recess. What happens then? What happens if they go to recess? Trump then puts in every fucking person he wants for 2 years. 2 years. My voice, I'm sorry. He puts in everybody he wants for 2 years, all the judges, all this, all the attorneys, all the prosecutors, armies of lawyers to go after Obama and Brennan and all the people. Right now, they're understaffed, and they can't get any more in because it has to be confirmed. What are the Democrats saying? The Democrats are going to exploit the delay using the narrative game. Those of you that listen to the show, we have something called the Trinity of Politics, right? This is where politicians, they juggle. I feel like Gavin Newsom. I'm talking with my hands today. They juggle 3 perpetually dynamic games, always moving. There's not a single move one of these politicians makes without considering the resource game, and the resources change. Senators have lots of resources. Senators have resources that other people don't, right? Jamie Dimon of Chase Bank has one resource, money, right? BlackRock has one resource, assets, land, whatever it might be. Senators might have land. They might have business. They might have judge confirmations. They might have Senate confirmations. They might have secrets like the Epstein list that's valuable to them, right? That's not valuable to me or you. We just want the truth. But it doesn't work like that. It's a fake system. Everybody bitches about the system. It starts in the damn Senate. Like, I don't know what else to say. The Congress is worthless. They just are. By design, they're designed to be worthless. They can write the laws and control the purse strings, but they don't even do that. They've outsourced all that. The Senate, it's dirty. It is a bunch of dudes getting what they want at the expense of you. And there's just no other way to say this, right? So this framework that I've designed, this is what I've designed. Because I've read Chomsky's Manufactured Consent. He has a propaganda model on media manipulation. There's a little bit of that. There's this other author called Michel Foucault. He had, I forget the name of the book, but it was Power, Knowledge, and Discourse, right? And then there's Max Weber, right? He had theories of authority and bureaucracy. And this is how the elites maintain their dominance, right? It's a combination of the resource game, which is what we talked about, the power game, which is what we always talk about when we talk about the Senate, and then the narrative game. You must have the narrative game, okay? I'll show you a bunch of stuff today about how the narrative game's out of control, by the way. It's just out of control. With the Epstein list, Congress people, thank God some of them are on recess. We don't have to listen to some of them, but they're all coming back home. Jasmine Crockett, right down the street behind me. He's having an event tomorrow. I thought about crashing it. I wouldn't do that. Right, but the elites, they layer these games with coalition building across parties, uniparty alliances, right? Allowing temporary truces in the power game, maybe to protect shared resources like donor networks or institutional perks or something like that. And this would explain the bipartisan resistance to transparency, right? Where Democrats and Republicans are going to collaborate to shield these mutual interests away from you. It's like us normal people, and then Senate and elites. You see how this works? And it always publicly clashes because the senators are the dirtiest ones, because here's us over here, and the senators will come over here with us and be like, yeah, but you see, they're not doing it. Like, they're not voting this way. It's really their fault. When it's really their fault. They lie. It's all a lie. It's all a big fucking lie, right? The Senate is the worst part. It's bad. And so Democrats are going to exploit the delay in this narrative game by portraying it as Republican obstructionism. That's what they're going to say. And they're going to use it to fundraise off of it, wheel and deal, play politics, right? Perceived Trump chaos, and it's going to stall potentially disruptive conservative judges. Remember, the judges have their own power game. The judges don't want people to come in there like Emile Beauvais, who was a judge during the January 6th stuff, who just sort of helped Trump out and all of these things. He actually was a lawyer in the January 6th stuff, and he fought for all the defendants, and now he's getting nominated to a federal judge. This is something that Trump made a deal with back then. Emile Beauvais was a lawyer, good lawyer, for a lot of these January 6th defendants. And because he did such a good job, Trump gave him a federal judgeship. Okay? And so it's going to make Trump offer some of these compromises on certain issues. Maybe it's social issues. Maybe it's immigration. Maybe it's some sort of spending win for some moderate Republicans. Right? And from here, Trump can push for a shorter recess. Now the Senate has all the cards. The Senate has all the cards. You cannot hate the Senate enough right now. I cannot stress this enough. Mike Johnson and John Thune are selfish. They're putting themselves above the American people, as the Senate always has. Always has. Right? And Trump's going to use some of these recess deals. Hey, can we do it 3 weeks earlier? Hey, can we do it right now? To break for those recess appointments and fill those key spots and get Senate votes. Right? And those are only going to last till the end of the Senate session, giving him temporary control while he forces the Senate to act later or risk permanent picks. Like I said, the Senate is always designed to be an elite club. It always has been. A little bit of history. We talked about it yesterday. Or 2 days ago. We're going to talk about it again. We got a lot of new viewers since then. Thanks to my boy Project Constitution on X. Give him a follow as well. He went ahead and shared some of my stuff. I got a bunch of new followers. That's great. Appreciate that. Don't think you're going to get to the top without help. Project Constitution. Appreciate you. Hat tip. Right, but the Senate's always been designed to protect democracy by balancing against the populist House. Right? And it's going to act as a deliberative body to shield the elite's interest, not your interest, the elite's interest. Democracy for the normal person, that's us, is exactly what it is. Democracy for the normal person is a system where supreme power is vested in the people. The power is in the voter, the people, and it's exercised directly. This is normal democracy. This is what you'll find if you Google democracy. Right? We call it Democracy A on this show. Okay? So Democracy A is what you think it is. Is where the power is or the people have the power. Democracy B is something that is not in the definitions and it is never talked about. Democracy B is what the Senate is protecting. Democracy B is the most frustrating part because it's institutional democracy. It's the deep state. Democracy B doesn't like Democracy A. In fact, there's irony because CNN and MSNBC are going to scream that Trump is a threat to democracy. And they're technically correct. Because Democracy A is a threat to Democracy B. They really do mean it. Now, I don't think Trump is a threat to democracy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Democracy A, the power of the people, is a threat to Democracy B, institutional democracy, and the deep state, where the entrenched institutions prioritize stability over public will. It never goes, it always remains silent. Right? Watch this clip from Eric Weinstein. He explains it better than I can.
You have this very strange thing going on where democracy is the greatest threat to democracy. Now, how can that be? It's two different concepts of democracy. One concept of democracy is the will of the people. You hold plebiscites. And even if you do it with an electoral college or political parties, the idea is that the people are elected, by and of and for the people. The other idea of democracy is that democracy is about institutions that sprang from democracy once upon a time, and that those institutions have to be kept strong. Those are two completely different concepts that are overloaded to the same word. Under that circumstance, we have a paradox, which is how do we keep the electorate from overturning the type A democracy from overturning the type B democracy? And that's the unsolved problem that they will not bring in front of the people. So what you have is a situation in which I believe that there are many people in Washington, D.C. who think that Donald Trump cannot become president.
This was filmed before Trump won, but listen to what he's saying.
Because he can now go for broke. He's also not going to try to run for re-election. He's relatively unconstrained. He's wealthy. He's learned how to play a lot of these games.
A lot of the power games, the resource game, he knows how to play. He didn't know how to play in 2016. He learned how to play. And he's doing exactly what Neo would do in the Matrix. But he's totally spot on. He's totally spot on. Oh, there's a great graphic. We'll get to that in a minute. Right? But democracy B, as institutions guarding against overturning a direct democracy. And senators using the recess as a power lever to hoard vacancies. So they're playing the resource game, right? Democracy B, the Senate, is not going to recess because they are hoarding the resource game. The resources are appointees, judges, U.S. prosecutors, U.S. attorneys, right? All of these things. And Thune and Johnson are not going to recess because they're hoarding those resources for future deals. There's no other way to say this. How is that not treason? It's not treason because by their definition, they're fighting for democracy. Do you see how fucked up this is? Like, they really will look in the camera and say they are fighting for democracy. They truly mean it because they have defined their democracy, their elite version of democracy, democracy B, institutional democracy. They're fighting for that. They don't tell the people this. They just say democracy. And most people think that it's theirs. But you're the wrong kind. You don't have that. And people are so dumb. People are so dumb. They are so dumb that they don't critically think. For example, if you were to take a look at this. Let's see how dumb people are. This is Trump. He's on his way to Scotland right now. So those of you listening can't see the video. I got pictures of streets in Scotland. They are packed. Looks like 10 deep. All the way on the sides, there's bagpipes. There's people at the airport. Looked like 100,000 people there. It looked like. I'm guessing. Okay. Let's just walk through the logic. Let's walk through the logic. There are liberals and progressives in America that think Trump is hated all over the world and that he's an embarrassment all over the world. Yet when he goes to the Middle East, he gets 7-minute standing ovations and people pledge billions of dollars because he brought peace everywhere. There's reports in Saudi Arabia's news stations about what a hero he is for finally solving Middle East peace, right? After he bombed Iran, people celebrated in every Middle East country, even Iran. The entire globe wants to see this man. There was pictures before the election in England of people saying, we need Donald Trump to win because he's going to solve the global immigration stuff, which he's already solved in our country. And now he's going, and him and Viktor Orban in Hungary, they just aren't letting any of this globalist immigration stuff go. And they're stopping it. And everybody wants to see him because he's saving the world. I'm not being hyperbolic. There's two systems going on, and I'll tie it to the bankers. There is the old system and the new system. Trump is the new system, but it's really the old system because it's Alexander Hamilton's system with tariffs, and it's McKinley's system. It's ancient stuff. It's early pre-American stuff. But he's fighting the British Empire in the international banking cabal. It's all economics. It's always economics. Right? So you have this old money versus new money situation, as my friend Project Constitution hit me with this morning. I'm like, yeah, that's probably the easiest way to explain it. Old money, new money. Trump is new money. But he's really going back to an old money system. The old money system where you can't use wars and you can't use debt to fuck over a nation. And all the financial elites at the IMF and the World Bank in England, sorry, we're going off topic. I don't even care anymore. All from the Senate. The Senate is protecting the institutional democracy, which is really at the end of the puppet strings of the financial elites in London. It's always London. We've never been free from London. I sound like a crazy person. We didn't win the American Revolution. They were like, oh, so they just want to be free? All right, well, okay. They're military. Let them win, let them celebrate, but we'll control their fucking money. They controlled all the banks, the first bank, the second bank, and the third bank of the United States is actually called the Federal Reserve, which Trump went to yesterday. I'm just pissed at John Thune for not sending them to recess. Right? Because it blocks the nominees. It's another hurdle that Trump is fighting. But you have people all over the world that think that Trump is this evil dictator, Nazi fascist. Liberals can't even look up. Okay, by liberal logic, not only is all of MAGA crazy in quote unquote half the country, but it's really like 80-20 now, right? Not only is most of America crazy, but apparently the entire country of Scotland is crazy and the entire Middle East is crazy. And all you liberals and progressives at home are correct. They just don't think. They just don't think. Man, moving on to the Epstein stuff. We're still live. Everybody good? Oh, listen to Bannon. He'll tell you.
Tom Massey, I think Denver's got that, and said, "Remember, this is about the people being confirmed. We're not doing enough." Judge Janine, I think, comes out of committee. They're going to try to get her next week.
He's talking about Judge Janine Pirro from Fox, trying to be one of the judges.
Week before these guys leave, they're trying to get, they're going to have Emil Bove. So I think the Senate's in for a couple of days next week. Bove, I think, is now scheduled for Tuesday. But as Senator Johnson and Hawley told you, the cupboard's dry. What we should do is do mass confirmations by calling a recess. Massey put it today that Johnson and Thune have already worked it out. They're never going to be in recess. It's going to be, kind of every couple of days. So I think that looks at like they're not going to have the availability. We're going to get more details to talk about that tomorrow. You got to get these confirmations done. Even if you do these pocket confirmations, they're good for a year.
Yeah.
Right? They're good for a year while you go through the normal process. And right now, because the Democrats are filibustering everybody.
Filibustering. They're just trying to delay. I've met some of this frustration before when you're fighting somebody in court and we all know what the solution is. Even the other side knows what the solution is, but they wait 11 months to do it because they can and because they're profiting on it. That's exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? There it is right there. Those two mother effers. Blocking everything. Right? There's multiple examples of this going on. It's not just John Thune and Mike Johnson. Right? You have Senators Murkowski and Collins. I know one of them's from Alaska. I don't know where the other one is. Supposedly Republicans. They voted no on advancing Emil Bove. That's Trump's guy. To the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, right? He's trying to work his way up to the Supreme Court. But anyway, even though he could very well be Trump's replacement for Clarence Thomas one day, right? Or Sotomayor, right? We've got to get Trump's people into the Court of Appeals because then they go up from the Court of Appeals and they go up to the Supreme Court, right? This is how it works. Sotomayor has health problems, right? But these two senators voted no. They always vote no, by the way. And they expressed concerns that Beauvais, as a former Trump lawyer, would prioritize loyalty to Trump over impartial justice and the rule of law. Now, that on paper, that's a legitimate concern, but what game are they playing? They're playing the power game with the resource game. The resource is their vote. The power is the fact that they can vote yes or no, and then, like, let's say, like bait, they're fishing. They got the resource. Let's say that this is the judge confirmation right here. Judge Blue, right? And they're like, no, I vote no. And they go to Trump and they're like, you want me to vote yes? You want me to vote yes? Here, you got to do it. You got to give me this. You got to give my state a new factory. You got to give me some cash. And then I'll vote yes. Remember back with the big, beautiful bill? In the big, beautiful bill, we had, I want to say Chip Roy said no until he got like new FEMA radars and flooding device, whatever he got, right? It was, remember, there's 4 people that said no, and then all of a sudden the next day it was like, boom, everybody said yes. What do you think is happening behind the scenes? They're playing the power game with the resource game. But remember, Congress and Senate play resources different. If you go to frickin' BlackRock and Larry Fink and Bill Gates should be in jail for crimes against humanity, but if you go to Bill Gates, he's going to play resource game differently than, say, Senator Murkowski and Collins. Gates doesn't have a vote. So Gates has to play with like technology or patents or whatever. I'll give you 30% of this patent for the rest of your life type of stuff. Like he plays with the money. Right? But Trump is going to them and say, he's going to go to them and say, I guess lobby groups can jump in. I mean, maybe Trump, it might be a lobby group, right? Maybe even a cabinet member, right? You might use a cabinet member. Maybe Marco Rubio can go to Murkowski because he had a good relationship with her and talk her into something, right? But this is confirmed. The Senate advanced Beauvais 50-48, even with Murkowski and Collins voting no. So I guess that doesn't really mean much for them, but the no vote forces Trump into direct horse trading, as they call it, or the power trading. Right? It's not a wasted maneuver for them. It highlights how these moderate senators, Murkowski and Collins, can use their swing status maybe to extract more policy wins for their constituents. Remember, I haven't said it yet on the show today, but all of these tactics are to get voters. This is where Democracy B has to go fish in Democracy A's pond, right? Democracy A is the voter, right? You can't do anything unless you get voted for, unless you're popular. So these people have to come back to your district and try to sell all the morons that don't see through the matrix, right? But it doesn't just mean in the senators. Watch. So the power game is being played not only in the Senate right now, but it's being played between the two branches. You actually have judges who have power, federal judges that have power. It exists between branches. And we have to understand that the power game is a combination of your title and responsibilities combined with your intelligence. You got to be smart. Now, you can see this example exemplified with Alina Habba, which used to be Trump's personal lawyer. Well, one of his personal lawyers. The other one interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell yesterday. And between her and judges in the judicial branch who flexed their authority to block Habba's confirmation for U.S. attorney, right? They view this position as one of their own. It's like, it's their community. Like, it's theirs. It's their resource. You see how this works? It's their resource. So the judges didn't confirm her because she's not one of them. Secret society. Is she qualified? Doesn't fucking matter. She probably is. But it doesn't matter. It's their elite club, and you're not in it, and we have power, and we could kick you out, and so they did. However, like I said, the power game is a combination of your job title, your responsibilities, and your intelligence. You got to have intelligence. And so Trump knew this, and so he countered with a stronger power play, and he just reappointed her as the acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey, effectively asserting his dominance. He knew his power was more than their power. I mean, after all, they're just judges. Right? It's not even a case. Now, if it's a case, they have a lot more power. But they don't have a power. It's just a confirmation vote. Right? 15 of these judges, you ready for this? 15 of these judges that said no to Alina Habba were Biden and Obama appointees. Do you see how that works? It's just a club. They play by different rules than the Senate. The Senate goes after votes and confirmations and deals and whatnot. The judges just don't let you fucking in. Right? Their power levers are different than the Senate. The Senate has the most power. They can block and do pretty much anything. Their resources are pretty much widespread. It could be anything from you voting yes to you accepting cash to a lobby group to all the things. So the Senate has the most access to all the resources. Judges probably have some resources in there too, but really they just have to confirm you. Right? So Trump's reappointment, that's a classic executive power flex. Bypassing Senate delays to maintain the loyalty for Alina Habba. And Democrats respond by intensifying in the narrative game. So once Trump did this, all of the Senate Democrats went online and started bitching. Oh, Trump, he can't do that. It's a da-da-da-da-da. No. They got outsmarted and their butt hurt, so they have to try to spin the narrative as to he's like a dictator and authoritarian. They don't go on there unless they have to. Believe me, they don't want to message you at all. In fact, I would argue that they all hate it. They all hate it. Right? Oh, he's a crony and he's got cronies and that's why he did it. And no, you got beat down power-wise and your butt hurt about it. Right? She can serve up to 210 days under something called the Vacancy Reform Act from the vacancy date, or longer if renominated. But opponents can challenge the appointment in court for conflicts, probably getting one of those Obama-Biden judges anyway, to limit her cases. It's not just with judges and with senators. It's in the Department of Justice. Trump dispatched yesterday Todd Blanche, his personal lawyer, longtime personal lawyer, to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, the famous sex trafficker. That actually went on only a couple hours ago. I guess the question would be, and there's rumors out there that she wants a pardon. That's reported in multiple papers. Would you give somebody? She's already served 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 4. It's 2018. No, yeah, it was 2018. So 2018 to 20. She served about 6 years. So she served about 6 years in prison of a 20-year sentence. She's asking for a pardon. Now, look at the politics of this. This actually gets pretty cool. You have, for years, Republicans, myself included, were like, Epstein, they're freaking pedophiles in the government. Of course they don't release it. And all the Democrats were not releasing any of it. They weren't releasing any of it. They called it a conspiracy theory. We talked about it yesterday. Christopher Wray testified in front of Congress, and he wouldn't give up anything on it. All the Democrats, you have Dick Durbin blocking Marsha Blackburn's release of the things, the flight logs and the whatnot. A bunch of Democrat senators, they were blocked, but don't think that anything's on it. They just view it as a resource. Do you see what I mean? There could be nothing on it. In fact, he may not even know. But then it goes to Democrats blocking it for years. And now, if you go back like a week, maybe a week and a half, there was this weird period where nobody was calling for the release of it. The Democrats weren't calling for it because they didn't know. And the Republicans weren't calling for it because they knew it would be a weakness in their party. Not because anybody's bad on it, but they knew that it would be a weakness in the party. Now, Democrats are making this an issue because they only need 10% of the Republican base, 10% of MAGA. And believe me, there's plenty of crazy MAGA people that lost their damn minds over this Epstein shit. Candace Owens being one of them, right? Jack Sobiek being another one. These people flipped out over the Epstein list, and they were like, you ran on this. The conservative right-wing people were like, you ran on this, you didn't, da-da-da-da-da. And the left wing was like, do we want to call for it? Like, we just spent years trying to block it. Do we want to call for it? Like, what if this is like poker where we like, you go all in and like, should we call? Do we call? So they called. They went all in. Now all the fucking Democrats are calling for the release of the Epstein, or at least the ones that don't know better, right? The ones that don't know better. So you have somebody like Senate Democrats now who have introduced resolutions to release the Epstein. Like, Senate Democrats actually put out a resolution. Let's release the Epstein list. Okay, now remember, they didn't do this before, and a bunch of people have blocked it for sure. And there is one reason why this is all confusing, is because Bill Clinton is on it. Bill Clinton visited the island 28 times, and he probably raped a bunch of girls. That is not crazy for me to say that. And so since Bill Clinton is a Democrat and Hillary Clinton's still involved, tranquilizer it up somewhere. And there's a lot of, like, Obama might have visited. Like, who knows? Who knows? What's crazy is that the report came out today and said she gave away 100 names. It could be anybody. It could probably a bunch of nobodies. But Trump is definitely viewing it as a resource. It's a resource to him. Those names are a resource. To be blackmailed, it's exactly what it's intended for. It's exactly what he wants. That's why he sent in Todd Blanche. But Senator Markwayne Mullin, after the Democrats released this resolution, like, here he is right here. He goes up there and says this.
Mr. President, this is nothing but political theater. It's so obvious that the Democrats are just using this for a political football. If they were really serious about it, what happened the last 4 years? Where were they? Silent? Doing nothing but covering up for an absent president? And now all of a sudden they want to talk about transparency? We haven't even figured out who ran the White House the last 4 years, and now all of a sudden they want to make something of this? Are you kidding me? If they're serious about it, then why didn't they say something the last 4 years? This is nothing more than just political theater trying to go after a president that they truly despise.
Okay, so he proposed, I forget what it's called, but you can bypass the vote. It's a unanimous, let's skip the vote and just do the thing. And so Democrats are calling for it. So he goes up in front of these people and says, okay, yeah, let's do it. We could bypass everything. Let's just release it right now. All we have to do is do the thing. And then guess who fucking blocked it? Senate Democrats. They blocked it after he called their bluff. No, release it to put pressure on Trump, right? Because you got to spin the narrative game. This one backfired because Mullin goes, okay, yeah, no, all of us are on board. Let's release it. And they're like, no, we changed our mind. Do you see what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. And they're flipping out over Todd Blanche going in there, which should really make you question. Here's Chucky Schumer
sending Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, to interview Ghislaine Maxwell while she's in prison, a woman who's been convicted of abusing people, to offer some kind of corrupt deal so that she can exonerate Donald Trump. Just stinks of high corruption.
Do you really do you really think he believes what he's saying? There's no way. He doesn't believe what he's saying. He doesn't believe what he's saying, man. Trump's move to send his personal lawyer is a power play again. I find it amazing that the DOJ or anybody has apparently never interviewed this person. I find that absolutely to be the biggest piece of bullshit that we've been told. The CIA interviewed these people. I'm telling you right now, unless they knew everything, unless they watched Ghislaine Maxwell from a distance and they knew everything already, they didn't need to interview her. That's one argument you can make. Right? One more, because this pisses me off. No, we'll skip that one. We'll skip that one. Moving on to the next segment. This was Jerome Powell yesterday. Boom, camera. This is great.
I want to talk about President Trump's visit yesterday. As you probably heard by now, President Trump was a little aggressive with me. He kept calling me little man. At one point, he lifted me up like a toddler and literally put me in the corner. He said, "You stay right there until you lower the rates, little man." Then he just left. I don't ever want him to come back to this place, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to lower the rate.
Yes. Yes. By the way, this is a great account. Donaldo Trumpo. Donaldo Trumpo, whatever you want to call it. Obviously AI, but it all stems from Trump at the Federal Reserve yesterday. I do not underestimate what this was yesterday. This is, oh, that's our alien ship. We'll get to that in a second. Do not underestimate. Are we live? Yeah, we're still live. Thank you for going, guys. There is a full-on attack of the old money system. We were talking about it earlier. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Right? There was a full-on attack against London's banking dynasties, the World Bank and the IMF, from Donald Trump. They have been siphoning money from the Federal Reserve overseas to the big world banks. America is a cash cow for the banks. It is. And Trump now wants to end the Federal Reserve. So he has Scott Bessent taking pictures of Alexander Hamilton and Roger Stone. These are political power players right here. This is a message. And yes, Donald Trump went into the Fed yesterday, and it was absolutely the best thing you are going to see all year long. Watch this.
About 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot.
And I don't have any.
So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
He says they're talking about the. Okay, I'm done with this audio thing. I've got to figure this out. But he's talking about the cost of construction. Nobody knows construction better than Donald Trump. He's built buildings for decades, and he's like, it's 3.1, and Powell goes, no, that's not right. And so he busts out the receipt.
Our notes said it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2. This came from us.
Yes. I don't know who does that.
Look at that photo. Snapshots and sound bites, my friend. Snapshots and sound bites. He's the first president to go to the Federal Reserve in 20 plus years. It is the layer of the beast. It is the inside heart of the biggest scam in the history of the world that goes back to London's elites, who we still have not beat since 1776. And he is over there. He was over there because he wants to finish their construction, obviously, because it is part of American government. However, they want to abolish it. They want to abolish it. I said yesterday, many people are not fully appreciating the significance of Trump's actions yesterday. He became the first president in over 2 decades to boldly engage with, I call it the final boss, the Federal Reserve. As Dan Bongino says, snapshots and sound bites. Look at this photo. You can't do better than this. Absolutely hysterical. The snapshots that came out of this were incredible. That's my favorite photo of the whole thing. You can. And I cannot understand why the left would absolutely even try to defend Jerome Powell, because he's keeping the rates up not only for me, but for you as well. Everything. They have to take Trump's side, or against Trump's side, every time. Right? But why is this a big deal? Like I said, the Federal Reserve is the arm of the United Kingdom's financial banking cabal. Operating out of Canary Wharf Towers, they use the Federal Reserve, as well as the other 13 banks, centralized banks, to affect global economies, right? Like suspending rivals like Russia. They keep them out of the economy. Right? Sir Dearlove's network of intelligence operations with Five Eyes, they were involved in Spygate. Christopher Steele was former MI6. We've been at war with England since 76, and we still are. Right? And these banking overlords rooted in the Rothschild dynasties extend their reach through MI6 and organizations like Goldman Sachs. Right? And Wall Street, which tried to stop Trump multiple times. And these banks fund the orchestration of surveillance and coups, and this is where it goes. It's why Obama goes to Downing Street. Look at this. It's why Obama right here is walking in days before the CIA had to turn over the papers to Spygate. Why is he going into the prime minister home in England with UK intelligence officials right before papers were due? Yeah, because they knew that they were about to get caught for treason. This is why it's important to understand the global big picture. You got people here at home saying, Obama didn't do treason, da-da-da-da-da-da. No, you're not looking at the big picture. And the big picture is headquartered in the Bank of England, right? With strings attached to the Federal Reserve. There is a reason Trump was at the Federal Reserve. And trust me, it was not construction. It was not. It's to send a message. That is the equivalent of walking onto the logo of your opponent and doing a dance and celebrating the victory. Trump and Hamilton and McKinley live on tariffs. Tariffs lose the bank's money. He wants to implement tariffs and affect the global trade order, right? The banks want to start wars. Trump wants to keep the peace. The banks want us in debt. Trump's tariffs bring us out of debt. Do you see how this works? Right? Trump is absolutely fighting a war that is not covered in the news. And it is definitely an economic war. 100% an economic war. I'll end it with this right here. We gained military independence in 1783. Right? It's a good post. We should probably retweet that one. We're going to get to this in a second. But we gained military independence in 1783, but we financially stayed under the thumb of London, right? True sovereignty demands monetary control. And so without it, nations become debt slaves, like us, right? And Benjamin Franklin blamed British currency restrictions on colonial poverty, which fueled the revolution itself. And so Britain's defeat was tactical. They shifted from military control to financial imperialism, right? And so by 1815, you had people like Nathan Rothschild who were dominating the Bank of England after funding Britain's war. All of their wars, actually, right? And the American centralized banking system started as a sovereignty bid, but it got twisted into reconquest, right? So Alexander Hamilton's first bank in 1791 adapted the Bank of England model for national credit, and it consolidated the debts in funding of the infrastructure, the mining, the manufacturing, sounds like Trump stuff, right? To build real wealth. And this ties to credit, and it's tied to growth. It's not endless debt. So Congress killed that in 1811. What did we get in 1812? Oh, we got a war. Financed by Rothschild and the loans in Britain, right? So this has been going on forever. When we don't play by the way that they want to play, they start a war. And are we not at the edge of one already? We're almost at the edge of a civil war. So what happened again? 1816, there was a new bank called the Second Bank, right? Andrew Jackson dismantled that by vetoing renewal in 1832. He called it an elite monster. Ironically, this aided the foreign agents, including Rothschild's influence, by erasing national debt and inviting speculative chaos aligned with British free trade. Jackson's win was short-lived because he got assassinated. Here comes 1913. The Federal Reserve emerged. And before I even tell you about the Federal Reserve, and the significance of Trump going there yesterday. In 1890, a loaf of bread was 10 cents. 30 years later, it was still 10 cents. Once the Fed was introduced and they started siphoning away our money, we get this thing called inflation. That's about as simple as I can make it. Your grandpa went to the movies with a date for 50 cents. The reason you pay $60 now is because of the Federal Reserve. Otherwise, it would have remained at 60 cents. In fact, it had gotten lower. It's cheaper to move shit around now. Transportation costs is cheaper. Manufacture costs is cheaper. Everything has gotten more efficient. Everything should be less, but it's not. It's more. Why? Federal Reserve, the largest scam in the history of the world, and they suck it right out of our country and they send it right over to the other side of the world into the city of London. We've been at war with England since 1776, and it's still going on today. And Trump is fighting that battle, which is why anybody who's against Trump for your little abortion issues or your little social justice issues, DEI, or whatever it might be, it shows me how intelligent you are, or it shows me the lack of intelligence that you have if you think it's about that. Stop voting in your feels, zoom out and look at the big picture. Today, the city of London is a sovereign banking hub, and it's pulling the strings using something called the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank and the Bank of England. The bankers are the enemy. I'm telling you, man. That being said, we'll end on this. A mysterious object has appeared in space. I forget who said it, but it could be a hostile alien spacecraft. Yep, I said hostile alien spacecraft. This comes just hours, Nick Sorter. This comes just hours after Trump said a Harvard president is on the Epstein list. Should this turn out to be correct, we're playing all these political games for no reason, and I just did this show for no reason. Look at that picture, though. What is that? What is that? What is that? Like, what are we doing here? What is that? Anybody want to take a guess on that? Is it aliens? Could it be? Nobody knows. That's where we'll leave it. Oh, yeah, Hulk Hogan. Sad. Apparently they die in groups of 3. You know? We did have that. There's more pictures of Scotland. This was in the heyday, man. Did he die from a vaccine or did he die from steroids? I mean, he lived to be 78, 72. Pretty good life, man. Pretty good life. The good thing is that in the last 18 months of his life, he apparently found Jesus. And he definitely did a speech at the Republican National Convention about a year ago. And that was pretty cool to see. But hard to argue that he is not a cultural icon after watching some of those clips right there. Hulkamania was a real thing, man. Such a character. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm your host, Patrick Hobble. Give us a follow on X. Go ahead and leave us a comment on YouTube or Rumble. And my Spotify and Apple listeners, thank you very much. Give me a comment as well. We're trying to grow this thing big so I can do it full time and get you guys all the tactics. Thanks for playing with me tonight. Have a wonderful weekend.